And also, what is the nefarious ultimate motive for people who are pushing this false doctrine?
Yeah, the reason I focus so much on the climate change issue is because it's actually so critical to what the evildoers are doing. And to be clear, I think the vast majority of the people who believe in this, and even the vast majority of the people who are pushing it, are well-intentioned. They're deceived, but they're well-intentioned. They want to save the planet and save the whales and all the rest of it. But what's really happening here is a lie. Of course, we know who the father of lies is. Satan is the father of lies. So that should be your first clue that something is amiss here. It is literally based on lies at every point, and I could talk about the science for a long time. I've been going to these UN summits for 15 years, and actually 16 years now. The first one I went to was in Copenhagen in 2009. So I serve as senior editor at the New American. They send me every year to cover it. The motto, by the way, is that freedom shall not perish. It's a good magazine.
Love it.
And I think there's a political agenda, there's an economic agenda, and there's a religious agenda. And so I'll take each of those briefly, and then we can dig into it more if you would like. The political agenda is very clear, and they say it all the time. The climate change is a global issue, and therefore it requires a global solution. No single nation, no single government can handle this. We all need to join forces. We need to surrender our sovereignty to these international institutions, and they will save us from this terrible gas, carbon dioxide, that incidentally we exhale about 2 pounds of every single day. So that's the political agenda, is to expand the size and scope of government. And this is an unwinnable war, of course. They talk about net zero CO2 emissions when every person on the planet exhales 2 pounds of CO2
You got
every
to
day.
stop breathing.
Precisely. We talk about eliminating people, right? And there is that agenda. The first climate summit I went to in Copenhagen, the Chinese Communist Party, they had their delegation there, and they were openly explaining that they should get a lot of credit for their efforts to combat CO2. And they said, look, we have the one-child policy. Each child would have emitted this much CO2, and as a result of our one-child policy, those children don't exist. Therefore, we have saved, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but we have saved X amount of CO2 from going into the atmosphere.
Right.
And, normal people were looking at this like, that's barbaric. And of course it is barbaric.
Yeah, right.
But I don't think the communists understood that wouldn't be perceived well by the people at this summit.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the political agenda. It's a perfect excuse to micromanage, regulate every element of life, because everything you do produces CO2. Your light switch, your car, everything.